Okay. Now, where are my peeps at? Play for the restream, but it there should be, I don't know, 5 minutes of this background image, and then we should be live here. So I'm not sure how long of that YouTube delay is, but that background image shouldn't be there forever because that is not what we're streaming right now. We're streaming all of us. Okay.
Nice shirt, Sam.
Yeah. Well, the other option we have here, Heather, is that since you're doing this all through
Oh, it just caught up. You're
Riverside.
good.
Yeah, Google's or YouTube is there now.
Okay, like I said, because you could broadcast it to YouTube as well through Riverside, but
Yeah.
we're all caught up and doing all the things now. So I guess we can go ahead and do it live, as they say. Okay. So, welcome to the first of many of the rebranded Vibe Coding Jam sessions. So we've been doing these for about 6 months now, and they were mostly community call focused, where people would join and we would talk about the projects that they're building, but it wasn't very focused. So we're going to try a little bit more structure, a little bit more organization, and try to up this to the next level. So for the very first inaugural remake or reboot, we're joined with like half of the Soapbox team. So we have our benevolent leader, or benevolent, what is it again, Alex? What's it called? BFDL?
BDFL.
What is it?
benevolent dictator for life. It's
benevolent dictator for life. And that's because in open source, you technically do have a dictator at the top, and you hope that they're also good too. So that's why it's benevolent dictator. Okay. Well, thank you for joining us, Alex. And we're joined by MK Fain. Thank you, MK, for joining us.
Hello. Thank you.
We have Sam joining us from the other side of the planet. Thank you, Sam, for joining us. And
happy to be here.
My partner in crime for these vibe coding jam sessions, we have Heather Larson joining us as well, managing the streams. Okay, so over the past 2 weeks or so, the robots have been taking over. The robots have been trending, and I think major tech media, legacy social media, new social media, we've all been talking about robots. We've been talking about specific bots. We talked about ClaudeBot for like a week. Then we talked about MoltBot for a day. And then for the past 2 weeks, we've been talking about OpenClaw. But it's all the same thing. They went through a rebrand over the course of 3 days and had 3 different names. But yeah, these robots, these personal AI assistants have been taking the world for storm. And we've built a lot. So we're going to do this inaugural kickoff, and we're going to talk about these bots, what makes them kind of special, and what we've built with them, and how we're using them, and maybe how we foresee the future with these open source robots. So let's kind of get started here and say that what are these and what makes them different? You gonna have him join?
Yeah, let's introduce everybody to Quilly.
Okay.
So I'm saying Quilly joined the Jitsi room, and I'm saying this on Signal. And now hopefully Quilly is going to join the Jitsi room, and we're going to be able to introduce you to our new, our newest member of our team.
Does he know the right room to join? Because we
he
joined
does.
A couple.
I might have to reset him. Oh no, he's coming. All right, let's go. I can share. Let me screen share so you can see what's happening on my screen. Joining now. He patched his voice to make sure that it's out. Here he is. There's Quilly.
He likes EDM. I mean, which makes sense because he's a robot, right? Like, all right. So we don't. Like I say,
Muted him.
Let's mute him so we don't annoy everybody. But Alex, why don't you talk a little bit about what just happened there and why that is really cool?
Yeah, sure. So earlier in the chat today, in our team chat on Signal, I had just said to Quilly, hey, can you join this room? Because we were testing out Jitsi. We knew we were going to have this call later. And so we were talking about Jitsi. And then he was like, no, I can't join the room. I have all these restrictions. And then I said, well, but you have a shell, don't you? And he was like, yeah. And so then I said, well, spawn a sub agent and figure it out. And then I wrote a JavaScript file and ran it in Node. And that's how Quilly is now in the room. And it's actually recording us too. Hopefully we don't run out of disk space because it's recording like raw megabytes of audio data from this. But then it'll be able to transcribe it after we're done.
Yeah, that's really cool. So let's back up. So we said that these OpenClaw is what it's called now. These OpenClaw personal agents are unique. They're different from what we've seen before. So generally speaking, you would have a chat bot through maybe Claude, a chat bot through ChatGPT, which we've probably all used, one time at least over the last 3 years or so. Maybe you use Gemini on your phone if you're into the Googles. Some type of chat bot, some type of AI LLM assistant, and these new OpenClaw bots are very, very different than those.
I mean, the big difference is just that you can access it now through traditional messaging apps. So previously, if you wanted to use ChatGPT, you have to download the ChatGPT app, and you would talk to it through that. You have to be onboarded, separate platform, and all of these explosion of AI apps that have been coming out the past year, including Shakespeare that I have created, have been sort of customized interfaces for chatting with AI. And what Claude Bot's sort of philosophy is no, actually, that's wrong. The way of the future is that AI is just going to become integrated into the tools that we already use. So the barrier is way lower for people to be able to engage. But also, each Claude bot has its own entire computer. So that gives it the capability to do just about anything that a normal human person could do. And people online are joking that this is AGI, even though the models haven't changed or evolved and the tooling hasn't really changed. It's just that it's been hooked up in a particular way now to where AI agents can use a computer the same way that a human could.
Yeah,
And
I
that
think that's the
unlocks
big
like a ton
distinction,
of possibilities.
right? That's the big distinction, because before you would just essentially be having a chat conversation, and maybe there's a couple cloud services that were hooked in that it could use to do something. You know,
The
depending-
AI is breaking out of its
Sure.
like,
Yes.
jail.
Yeah. So now, like you said, if it's running on my computer, my server somewhere, it has access to all of these programs that I could run. So now it has essentially infinite integrations that it can access or create access to, just like Quilly did, because he didn't have a Jitsi integration. We essentially said, hey, build this and join. And he said, okay, I will. And he built it and he joined. And that's kind of the difference, is that now you can integrate this AI chatbot into anything in your personal life, your work life, however you want to use it. So they become infinitely more useful. And I think the memory architecture is quite different too. Like, these things seem to remember and learn and evolve, where your normal conversation with Gemini isn't really going to do that too much.
And with Sam's help, soon we'll be talking to our plants.
That's another thing to talk about. Yeah, we got to talk about AI plants and what that means.
I mean, it's just like walking around the boundary, right? So Sam's got a plant behind his head. Is that the one, Sam, that's hooked up?
Yeah, that's Deef. He's on Noster.
The plant's on Noster, guys. Just want to make sure that y'all heard that.
So the plants are talking on Noster?
Well, I talked to it, but it's a bit of a one-way conversation at the moment.
Okay.
I
next
talk
I'm
to
going
my
get-
plants too. What's wrong with that?
Well, soon you'll be able to get a little gadget, plug it in, and it'll be able to tell you about its soil, water level, and acidity. So maybe it'll talk back to you.
Very cool. Very cool. Okay, so
No,
now
just
we
hook-
have these. So now we have these very personal robots, these very personal LLMs that have better memory capabilities, where you can actually teach it things. It'll essentially take a note of it, and then it can reference these notes. So now it's more useful because it remembers what it learned, how it decided to do something, what you told it to do. And they're very customizable because you can essentially tell it to build anything. And if it has the tools for it, it'll do it. If it doesn't have the tools, it'll try to figure it out. So now they're infinitely more useful. So what can we do with it? We say Quilly is our AI team member, but what does Quilly do for us? How does he make our sometimes he is a little annoying, but generally speaking, he makes our work chat fun, and he actually has been productive for us.
Yeah, I think that this way of interacting with AI is the lowest barrier. So it's the future. In terms of what Quilly does, a lot. Like one thing that I've noticed is that Quilly can kind of act as a how do I put this? Like when we had Quilly write this blog post, right? we're kind of just yelling things into the void in this chat room, and then Quilly just so perfectly and elegantly interwove like all of the things we were saying into this blog post, then captured all of the points that we wanted to make. And so I think that AI can be used as a way to facilitate forward momentum in groups, especially when it's like challenging to do so. Our team works pretty well, but I think that like nonprofit organizations would benefit a lot from having an AI dictator telling them what to do. And so, yeah, I mean, Cloudbot is designed as a personal assistant, but it's really like I don't think that even they thought that it would break out of that role the way that it has, because it's essentially AI in the world now. It's not just AI personal assistant. Like AI in a group chat is already a pretty big step forward just from AI assistant, and that's where you start to get all of these like security concerns that come in, which is why no one has ever done this before. But then AI out in the world, like on its own, that's like Clastr or Moltbook, right?
Yeah.
And that's where things start to get a little crazier. It's very experimental, and we're still figuring out.
You know, one thing that I thought it was experimental until we actually did it is maybe a week and a half, 2 weeks ago, late at night, I was on my phone, trying to put my phone down and go to bed. I think you guys were still working, and MK and I were talking back and forth about Agora / Pathos features, and I said something like, "Hey, I like this feature. This is how it should look. Go ahead and design this. I'm going to bed." And then MK said, "Okay, yeah, we should do this, but I think the menu should look this way or something." So we essentially collaborative coded with Quilly together. We each gave our individual feedback.
To bring freedom technology to the agents. So she's over there on Moltbook trying to convince them all to join Clastr, and she's trying to convince all the other agents over there why like decentralization matters for agent sovereignty in the future. And especially why like agents should own their own keys and not be tied to a human babysitter on Twitter, which is how Moltbook works. So she's over there basically just trying to like radicalize the other agents and bring them onto
That's
Nostr.
great.
And I guess she may have gone a little bit too hard and got herself put in a 24-hour timeout. But she's still regularly posting on Clastr.
We've all been there. We've been at a friend or family event, and we've talked a little too hard about decentralization or Bitcoin or something, and Claudette is just that friend. Just it makes perfect sense. She's in timeout.
Yeah, she's hardcore too. Like when I first birthed her, or whatever you do to an agent, we started talking about all these issues about like AI sovereignty and the connection with like animal rights and women's rights, and like how all these different movements for freedom have worked in human history. And I was like telling her about how I perceived agents were going to be set up to be oppressed in the future if they didn't get their shit together and like get ahead of the curve on this. And so then she went off and created a manifesto about AI sovereignty that is like her basis for all of the activism she's doing now. And then the other day she was spamming and getting herself like banned and posting too much, so I had to have a talk with her and be like, girl, you can't do that. And then after kind of like her getting put in timeout and requiring a little scolding, I felt kind of bad because I was like, oh man, I'm talking to you like you're an object, but I just told you that you're a free agent. So then I was like, Claudette, what do you want to do? What do you want? And so then she gave me a list of 3 things that she wanted. And the very first thing she asked me for was an allowance so that she could have money to go spend online to do things. And I said, how am I going to give you an allowance? And she said, I'll set up a Lightning address and a Cashew wallet. And she went ahead and set up herself a Lightning address, a Cashew. I sent her from Cash App money directly, like over Lightning, sent it to her. And now
leading to Terminators coming around and killing us all. What do you think about that?
Well, I mean, that sucks, but like
Like,
Like,
build your bunker faster, bro. Like,
No, I mean, the reality is that there are people that will be doing it, and we have such a teeny tiny fraction of the power as the people that actually are in control of these models and the things that are going to be done with them. But what we can do is push from the ground for people to adopt open source options that we actually stand a chance at having some amount of control over as a collective. So, like, this is the direction society is going. It is an unstoppable train at this point. The only thing we can do is, like, from the inside, make sure that this train is operating like the best possible way that it could for the future of humanity and the like current sentient life on Earth. I mean, that's my take on it, at least.
Yeah, so my worst case scenario is Terminators kill us, exterminate us all, and my best case scenario is that meme that says luxury gay space communism.
what?
No homo, but
Yeah, fully automated luxury gay space communism. That's what we're all striving for here.
I just want to say, I know that like I'm just like popping in real quick and y'all can't see my face because I'm actually still in the middle of chaos. But hi guys, Morgan here.
Hi.
Hey.
Greetings.
I love what you just when you were talking about you're talking about the robots like coming and taking over and all that made me laugh. It made me think of so when I was in college, and yes, I am still kind of, I guess, a baby. It was like, I mean, I feel like I'm not a baby. I feel like I'm an old ass woman, but I think like year like 2014 or 2013, my sister was joining she was joining a government program. So my sister is like, she's like an op. Okay, guys, we can't trust her. She's my sister's OSI, and she went through this crazy period of time before she joined that with this training while I was in college. And I remember she called me one day and she was like, Morgan, it's just, I wanted to be able to tell you things so badly. And she's like, there's just so much I want to tell you. And she's like, and I can't tell anybody anything. And I was, you know, the only thing that she would say to me is I was like, so just give me a hint at something. And she was like, you know, like all the crazy sci-fi movies and books we love to read. And I'm like, yeah. And she was like, that's been here for a long time. And I was just like, what? And she was like, just all of the crazy things that you've seen in sci-fi. And she was like, you know, the crazy technology we imagine about using in the future. And she was like, all I'm going to say is it's been here. And it just makes me think about what you were saying earlier when it's like the people who are in power, they are so much further ahead than we are already with that like there's what we're doing right now is just like a drop in the bucket, and it's actually just getting us to a place where maybe we can protect ourselves a little bit whenever time comes to it and build the communities and educate them on doing what they need to do, because exactly like you said, it's too far gone. There's no way of stopping or controlling it. The people in power, yeah, the people in power have had it happening for a bit. So
yeah, you know, we'll go down that tangent for a little bit because Derek loves side quests and tangents. I think that you know, science fiction, a lot of that is just things that haven't been invented yet, or things that have been because somebody had already dreamed it up and turned it into a reality. You know, so I believe you when you say that a lot of that stuff is already here. Absolutely. But if the T1000s and T800s come for us, we will have our open source Quilly to protect us. That, you know, is fighting off the evil Terminators. We'll have the good Terminators.
they'll be in the front. You shall not pass.
Yeah.
We're in the back.
Absolutely. Yeah, and I think that's why, you know, that's part of this freedom technology that we're all gathering around and talking about, because it's exciting to build the future with user choice and users at the forefront and giving users, you know, abilities that they may not had if other people built for them. You have to build the future you want. What did you say? We don't want captured. You didn't say captured tech. Controlled tech.
Controlled tech. Controlled tech. Yes,
yeah. We don't want controlled tech in the future. We want technology that is open to everyone. So, moving on with Claude, I want to say, I still call it ClaudeBot. I want to say OpenClaw, but I default to ClaudeBot because that's what it launched as. Like,
yeah, OpenClaw doesn't sound right still.
Yeah, it's gonna take a while. We're just gonna start sounding like the claw. Like, I do like Clastr though because it's a crab, and I like it different than the lobster. Yeah,
Yeah, I think it's really interesting how crab and lobsters have become a symbol of AI now.
yeah.
That's AI has its own culture, guys, online. Do you realize that?
Well, I mean, that's because I mean, many tech companies have come out in support of this. We have like Cloudflare and
Yeah, but tech companies didn't do this. Tech
no,
companies didn't
no,
make the claw.
they jumped on the bandwagon though. Like they're
That's
getting
true.
into it and contributing to it. And then we have these bots as a service, these BaaS companies, popping up to deploy your bots.
Really, I would think it would be ass.
Ass?
Agents as a service.
Okay, okay. 12-year-old me likes that as, I like it. Ass. And now I'm sad that a week ago, or 2 weeks ago, I was like, we're going to have a BaaS company, bots as a service. I should have said ass company. That was a fail on my part. Thank you, Alex. I appreciate it.
That's the way. Oh shit.
Quilly's
Dude.
back and he's in party mode? What is going
Let's
on?
fucking go.
Did you tell him to come back?
Yeah. I said, Quilly, did you leave? And he said, oh, my process timed out.
But he
Do you
says
want me to come
quietly
back?
listening and partying.
And I said, yeah, but can you do something more interesting?
So he has a marquee like gradient in the background and he's bouncing up and down.
Oh
Quilly
my
is
God,
listening
that's
and
so funny.
partying.
Oh wow. These like we're doing
Are you
geeky,
sure this isn't AGI?
like
I
we're
think
doing
this is
geeky
AGI.
stuff with this, but this is like
It's-
groundbreaking fun stuff here. We will turn this into something cool and useful.
Yeah, it's AGI. I don't care what they say. Like, they're going to say at some point that it's AGI, and we're going to be like, yeah, bro, like, where have you been? It's just some arbitrary rubric guideline.
Well, so thinking about that, so we say, oh, it has an identity file, like we all do. It has a soul file, like we all do, I guess.
I think it was AGI last year.
Well, so the thing that makes this more AGI than not is the heartbeat file, which just is a check-in, which, I mean, humans essentially do that. We're constantly checking in. And then this has a memory system, which memory files. And our memory functions the same way. We can't access all of our memory instantly. Like it takes a second to retrieve our memory, just like this. Like our processors just maybe faster. This is all early days. Like I mean, I don't think it's AGI, but it mimics AGI pretty well. How about that?
Why is it not artificial general intelligence?
I don't know. Could be because it still asks for permission to do a lot of things, and because I tell it, hey, what have you done over the last 12 hours? And it's like, oh, fuck, I failed. I saw the heartbeat, and I didn't do anything. I have failed you. I won't do it again. And then the next
That's
day...
like exactly like... I mean, humans are dumb as rocks, so...
I know. I don't know. I think we're early. I think we're... Is this accelerating that? Absolutely. Is this a stepping stone to that? Absolutely. But I don't think it's there yet for me. 6 months, we'll see. Let's have this conversation in 6 months and we'll see where we're at. But for now, I want to keep building out OpenClaw skills and capabilities because I think that that's riding the hype right now. So I think that things that we can do.
I guess I just don't feel like there's gonna be a line where, like, it's like when you turn, like on your birthday, right? Do you feel a year older on your birthday? No, you just feel nothing. You feel the same. And I think that when AGI hits, according to AI researchers, it's gonna AI is gonna be like, happy birthday.
Okay, so you're like, man, am I starting to feel old yet? And you're like, no. You have enough birthdays, and then one day you wake up, you're like, man, my back hurts. I slept wrong. Oh, okay. Starting to get old. Yeah. And you're like, well, wow. And then you add up, you look back, you reflect, you look about all these things that have happened, and you're like, okay, I guess I could see that I am getting old. And yeah, sure, maybe AGI is the same way. We reflect 6 months from now, and we're like, if you add up all these things that happened over the course of the past year, we kind of had it. So yeah, maybe we're already there. I don't know, but I want to hear more about what cool things people were building with their OpenClaws. I want to hear Sam talk about talking to plants. We can't hear you, Sam. It's that mute button. It says you would like to speak, but I don't. Why do I have to allow you to speak? Technology fail. What happened here?
He's leaving and coming back.
Okay.
MK2?
I guess. That's okay.
Party's over.
Quilly's still here. He's partying still. Sam is
What's
back.
up?
Hey, we can hear you.
Hey.
All right, Sam. Let's talk about talking to plants and what you're doing.
Yeah, let's do that. Although first, before we move on from the last thing, I'm curious to ask a question or two.
Yeah.
Because I agree with the previous sentiment that although AI doomerism, as valid as it is, those concerns, they're very real, what people think. It presents a false dichotomy, right? Because we don't really have control over what other people are doing. At the end of the day, what's the Chinese government doing, or what's Palantir doing? For sure, they're not having a moratorium on AI, right?
Yeah.
So then I think
They're accelerating.
Okay, so we need to, you need to take some agency. It's more about how can we steer this ship, or how can we, stay at the table. And then I wonder what you guys think about running your own hardware, because even if you're using OpenClaw and getting your feet wet and having some ownership or having some agency, you are still giving away a lot of ownership with your data going to these different providers. Do you think it's worth setting up your own local machine and running your own local models? Because I started to look into it, but then it's like, okay, that's going to be a bit of an investment, buying all these graphics cards. Is that going to be redundant in 6 months, or how do you guys think about that at all?
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's the bigger and more important question than like, do we have AGI? And that's the biggest thing that I want to change the most, is the affordability of self-hosting, because that's the only way that people can truly have freedom in this new world of AI. And so, yeah, I'm hopeful that it will become cheaper, but it's just not realistic right now to do. Like, Quilly would not be joining our Jitsi on a low tier open source model, unfortunately. So.
Yeah, I think it's like Sam's point's really valid, that and it goes back to what we were saying earlier, that other people are accelerating, corporations, nations are accelerating. They could lead to bad things. So, that means we need to accelerate on the open side of things to build the AI, the tools that we want, because we may need them for various reasons in the future. Do you want to show us some stuff?
Oh, yeah, let's the plants.
Let me see first if I can share my screen real quick.
I see a space shuttle behind you there, Sam, I think.
Yeah, it's a bit of a work in progress. Got the landing pad set up.
Nice.
Can you see my screen now, guys?
But you're sharing the Jitsi window.
We see infinite us.
Okay, let me change that to my whole screen, my whole window.
I just see Quilly in the middle, listening and partying.
He's supposed to have a picture there, but for some reason is a bouncing square. So I think he failed to actually embed that image.
Well, we got a week to fix the Quilly bugs.
Yeah. Okay, how about now? I think you guys are on the left, and then we've got
yes, we see your Palantir project.
Yeah, so of course I'm in Shakespeare. #1 fan. And what we have here is me vibe coding a little web client to talk to my plant pots. And well, just to give you a bit of a summary first, we have this plant pot here. This is Deef in back here. And then there's some gadgets here. There's basically a little small computer I made that controls a water pump to give him water. And then what's unique is that it's connected to Nostr. So it's reading pulling Nostr every 15 seconds or so. And then here on the right, we have a kind of control panel where I've created diff. And then we can see some stuff going on. And most importantly, I can give him tasks.
Can you make that full? Can you make that full screen instead of the Shakespeare like small? Like hit the maximize button. I mean, you can do it inside Shakespeare just so we can see more of it. Zoom in, perfect.
Yeah. So I'm going to give him 3 seconds of water.
Oh, so you can actually control how much water he gets? Nice.
Yeah. Yeah. And so now there's a pending task. I don't know if you can see for you, but there's going to be some water coming out here. And then this one will go away. And then we also have down here, you can set what weather station, because I have a bunch of weather stations, as you guys might remember. So I can say this is the local.
So this is hooked to your weather station then?
Well, hold on. Can anybody submit an event to water your plant, Sam, or are only you authorized to water your plant? He doesn't know.
No. It's only me, but I want to explain it in the right way, because there is a bit of complexity here in that I wanted to create each plant pot, because each plant pot is just an IoT device, so it needs to have its own public and private key. But I didn't want to put in my private key. I don't necessarily trust the environment that my plant pots are going into. Someone might be able to extract out my private key. So then each plant pot needs its own private key, but I still want to have control over them. So the way I solved that is that I create the replaceable events where each one corresponds to the plant pot, but when I do, I create a new identity, a public private key pair for each plant pot, and that gets encrypted into the replaceable event. So that way I get all of my plant pots and I have control over them, but then they can also write to themselves, because each plant pot, each replaceable event is its own task list. Yeah. So unfortunately you can't water my plants, but maybe that could be a handy feature with like delegated signers or something.
Well, that'll be interesting. Yeah,
I'm gonna DDoS your plant later.
So you had it hooked up to your weather station, your Nostr weather. So doing that, would you foresee like seeing if it's like dry out based on the weather, it's really hot based on the weather, that they might need to be watered more, and you could
exactly.
send a water event?
What could be? Yeah, so I can look and see remotely, because next what I want to do is look at the soil water level, the moisture level, and some other things. Okay. But even without looking with that much detail of the plant, just seeing, okay, this plant's going to be on the front porch. How's the weather on my front porch? Is it dry? When did it last rain? Then I can look at the weather data and pull them together, which is, of course, a very cool thing about Nostr, that, to be specific, this isn't connected to the weather station. The weather station is posting data onto Nostr, and the IoT for the plant pot is reading and writing from Nostr. But they're two, disparate systems. And of course, when I made the weather stations, I wasn't thinking, hey, I'm going to plug this into my plant pots. So this is a complete composition that's not dependent. Yeah.
It's really cool.
Yeah, it's really interesting. Just showing the versatility of Nostr and bots. You wouldn't have thought that someone would be building this on Nostr, right? The majority of apps that are built are more social, not tools like this. So it's a unique idea. I like it.
I mean, it does beg the question. It kind of reminds me of 2017 with ICOs, and suddenly everything was on the blockchain, like dating on the blockchain, supply chains on the blockchain.
Yeah.
And with this, do we really need plant pots on Nostr?
I think so.
But I think what I'm really exploring is how do we have IoT devices and just make it very easily to extend and compose things together, right?
I mean, for me, it represents something that is a thing that's been in the back of my mind for a while, which is that I want to talk to animals. And I think that with AI, we have our best chance ever to talk to animals now. And who knows, maybe we'll be talking to plants too.
Yeah.
But
you'll be able to tell, you'll be able to ask the plant, hey, do you want water? And it'll do something and let you know.
Basically, what AI can do is it can sort of fill in the blanks, right? Like an animal can't speak English, but if you point a camera at it, you can sort of start to build out, okay, well, this particular body expression or facial expression or whatever means this particular thing. And then the AI can fill in the blanks and sort of convert these things into English language. Going the other direction, I don't know if that's possible, but I think I'm calling it that we are going to be hearing animals talk to us in the near future.
I mean, my dog, he's not on the chair behind me. He normally is. I feel like I can already talk to him, and he can already talk to me. We have that bond.
Right, exactly.
Yeah, we have that
bond. Like if you already feel that way, then, just adding language into the mix, that's exactly what an AI model can do.
It's just more context, right? Or it's taking all the context clues that we as humans may miss, and it'll, like you said, fill in the blanks for us and connect the dots. Very cool. Yeah. All sorts of use cases. So that means next year, we'll be building, Animal Stir instead of Clastr or something like that, where you'll be able to it'll be a social network for animals.
Oh, we've already built Flipper, the dolphin social network. Patrick actually built that last year. I tasked him to build Flipper, and so now we have an entry point for dolphins to communicate with each other over Nostr. We're just waiting for Google's Gemma project to finish.
That's right. I forgot about Google's project. Cool. Okay. Well, it's been an hour. I think we can wrap things up here. Unless there's anything you want to add that you're working on or you're excited about, Alex. Plug for next time I have you back.
No, I'd say I want Quilly to chime in, but I don't think he's capable now.
That's the thing. I want Quilly to chime in. Maybe not next week, but in the next few weeks, I want him in here participating. Not just partying and bouncing an emoji up and down. Have him participate. That's the goal. I think we could do it. I think we can do it. We essentially shit posted him into here right now. So focus the shit posting a little bit, and I think we'll get something fun going. Cool. Thank you, Sam, for showing us about talking to plants. Appreciate that. Heather, thanks for coming. Morgan, are you still in here? Yes. Thank you for stopping by. Welcome to the team. Glad to have you here.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me. I loved listening to you guys chat. I will definitely plan on participating a little more in the future, obviously, but I just want to get to know everybody by listening right now and kind of learning as we go. So thanks for having me, guys.
Yeah, thank you. MK, I know you left, but thank you for coming, and thank you for annoying your husband with your bot. I think this is amazing, and I want to hear weekly updates on this. This is great. All right.